Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds. Okay, that's a little bit overdramatic, but yes, it finally happened. It's taken approximately 72 years, which should be impossible because Wotv has not been around that long. But here she is, Addison Rae. Wotv is finally saved. And if I add any more shade or snark into this delivery, I'm pretty sure that the viewer is going to die. Hi. Yeah, okay. Let's get this over with. Just the personal feelings. Miss Addison, if you ever see this video for whatever reason, hello. Uh, but that's pretty unlikely because I don't think she even knows that much that the game exists, which is also interesting. Okay. Point being, I'm not a big fan of Addison Rae. I don't really care too much about her. So I'm going to take a look at the unit, see what I think, and talk about this whole deal once and for all. And then after this, I'm probably never going to talk about this ever again. Main job performer, sub job blade soul, sub job red mage. 100 cost, light elemental unit, and I do believe that she is supposed to be essentially like free, right? Like she's supposed to be that everyone gets the first copy of her and then you have to raise her kind of thing. So performer is essentially dancer, from my understanding. And dancer has traditionally been a really interesting and really powerful class over the history of tactical Final Fantasy based games. Now, before anybody also says this, I have no clue whether or not this is coming to JP, because if it is and has been announced, I have clearly blocked it right out of my mind. I fully expect the term perform or the job performer or dancer to be on multiple characters in the future of some variant of this coming to JP, but specifically Addison Rae, no clue. And if she doesn't show up, I don't think anyone on JP is going to lose much sleep because most people here don't know who she is and would be generally a waste of time. But let's take a look at the unit. Deals 3 hit damage large to targets within range based on the caster's magic stat. Chance of inflicting slow for 3 turns. Breakthrough deals large damage to target based on caster's magic stat and guaranteed hit. And last but not least, Barrier Bop. Bestows protect on the allies within area around self for 3 turns and bestows a barrier on self that reduces damage 3 times. Now, before anybody says Umbra in the video, they talked about this, and this, or these details and everything. First off, thanks for letting me know. Secondly, for the sake of this video, I'm going to ignore all of that because I'm going on just the sell of this character right in here. Because a lot of the, not everybody watches the live streams. Basically everybody gets the news in game. And just taking a look at this character, what do I think? Well, honestly, for the introduction of a brand new job type, I have to say, just based on this card, I'm pretty underwhelmed in terms of what she ended up being. Not because she's a mage or because of the general direction that Light has been taking into the future, but mostly because this doesn't feel all that different. And I'm sorry if anybody is a big fan of Addison Rae and thinks this is a personal attack on her. I honestly just think that this character class, at least from what we see here, is pretty uninspired. And if you were to try and show me that she is supposed to be something new and different, I don't really feel like that's the case. Guaranteed hits, large damage, hit, and a status effect, and last but not least, bestowing barriers and whatnot. Really not different from a lot of the what is currently coming out in terms of characters, and for what is kind of was teased, as at least from my recollection, of being this is supposed to be like kind of like the dancer class. It doesn't feel like that. It doesn't feel really all that unique. Feels like DPS with extra tricks, with some tricks, which honestly isn't that exciting to me. And so I'm going to now just generally review how I feel about this. So like from the light perspective right now, the current thing on JP is essentially some combination with Bartz, and even off element are still looking to use Bartz, because Bartz has become an incredibly good character, and the higher the range that is paired up with Bartz, provided they stay relatively close to each other, the more effective that team is at dealing damage. Now, the third character most of the time is a tank to kind of protect Bartz, and some kind of other DPS character, mostly Wing Stern, to be a fairly effective team that is generally well protected, fairly resilient to damage because of things such as chakra, which allows a lot of healing, and just the synergy of essentially a pure light physical based team, including and focusing very much on stacking as much human killer as you can on all of the characters, but specifically Bart, so that secondary hit is as strong as possible. And it's shown multiple times to be as just a very, very, very strong combination. So, yeah, that is currently what's going on in JP with the light element. And taking a look at Addison Rae, there's already a few strikes against that, just because she is a mage-based character. Now, I'm not going to say that light mage can't be as successful, or this can't be anywhere near as good, but taking a look at least from what I have been billed, fairly short range on her abilities that we've seen, and not necessarily AoE, so yeah, here's the thing. Addison Rae, I think, is a perfectly fine unit, and if it is correct that her first copy is essentially free, well, that's great news, because I think that this is a potentially fine character, especially for people who might be starting, who might go into the future getting Bartz as well. It might just be good enough to get by. It won't be necessarily top tier, but it will be fine. Another light elemental 100 cost character is less than appealing to me, because that element is already pushing for what is currently just kind of the best in slot for like that element, and you're already like 200 there with potentially Wing Stern and that, or just, you know, a tank. And really, did light need another 100 cost character? Could this have been better served in an element that kind of benefits, that is going more towards a magical direction? That's just kind of my feelings. I really don't, at least from the in-game posting, feel that excited about Addison Rae. But again, free unit, if that's the case, fine, whatever, it's okay. Raising her, I think most people should check the kit before spending resources, as what currently is on JP, you know, characters that you might be interested in, such as Raph, Bartz, Ferris, Bridal Alaya, just to name a few, already are feeling like just way, way better in my opinion. But I do believe that she is also a glove-based unit. So she is a magical-based character, and that is also, from what I can see, in here with her vision card, which is a sword, red mage group, dagger, book, and glove. Now, okay, all right. Camilo's getting a something in this picture, and I'm going to leave it at that. This vision card is very much a magic card, like magic attack resistance up, magic up, not necessarily magic resistance penetration or anything that feels too overwhelming. Reaction block rate is just generally nice, because, well, if the enemy is like just very, very good at some of the counters that exist out there, then this is, again, pretty nice. Bestowed effect, max HP up for Miss Addis, and it looks like as well. And again, confirmation that she has gloves. And getting an ability too, significantly lower target's reaction ability for 3 turns, then deal XL damage based on the caster's magic stat. So Very, very powerful ability on this vision card. Single target, so it does get around that. I have to say that I really quite like this. I like the vision card more than the character. The vision ability being tied specifically to Addison isn't too surprising, as that's kind of what they are just trying to sell here. And heck, even the vision card, like between all the different glove-based units, such as Kefka, or Roy, or Zoma, there are a fair number of characters that could be in an interesting combination with this, and it being a job-based VC, it should be a 60% magic up, unless I have mixed up my orders. Book as well is an interesting combo, because you can potentially do this maybe with a multi-elemental party that's in between books and gloves, to really try and just sort of get there. As for Red Mage does have some interesting members in their group. There is also Elena in there. And more recently, I do believe that Ferris is in there. Well, so yeah, when it comes to this, like, it's pretty clear that they are also like pinning the character with the vision card. If you really want to get the most and be an Addison person, then you're probably going to need this vision card, because it unlocks a fairly strong ability and it's very synergistic with her. So you know, there is essentially a cost to the character besides just raising her. To me, mostly when it comes to Addison, it really depends on just how free she is. Any amount of like Visior, I would just not be super excited to drop to try and raise her. Maybe it's a character that's totally fine just raising slow, but like, I guess it really, like, there's no real precedence for knowing if this character is going to be insane, because it's just kind of how much the devs really wanted to, how much they really like her, to how strong she's going to be. And to that extent, I would kind of hope that she is really, really not like incredibly OP, because it just, I don't know. I don't particularly like this collaboration. That's fairly obvious. And as for Addison Rae, the character, I'm not overly impressed, at least upon just initial. There's probably more details, maybe some more uniqueness that was announced in the live stream. But if you're just trying to sell people on raising this character based on this in-game, I feel like it's fairly underwhelming. Performer doesn't feel that unique or really that interesting. Guaranteed hit, while it is generally nice to have, nowadays I tend to just overall like having a character that is more just built high towards accuracy than anything, just in case of guaranteed hit ignore exists on that opponent. As for slow status effect, it's good, but I've also seen a fair number of like speed and CT modifiers recently that are kind of just a little bit more interesting, because they're a little bit harder to defend against. And the physical damage barrier that she's essentially looking at, while Protect is great, and I like Protect a whole bunch, physical damage barrier, there are a good number of characters with barrier breakers. So yeah, it really, I would definitely recommend checking out her full stats before spending any amount of resources on her. And as for her vision card, really kind of depends if you already have those character types that are already in there, and whether you think it is super worth it for you. As for me, if she came out on JP, don't think I would bat too terribly much of an eye, but we'll see when the full stats are out. So I guess thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and see you next time.